Welcome back to the Birdcage. Today, we are going to be recapping the Kansas Jayhawks 75-72 win over the Duke Blue Devils. I'm Jack Kenna, joined alongside Kolton Kennon and Emmett Swendseid.
Yep, 2 for 2.
Okay. That name gives me that it flusters me quite a bit. We'll start it off early. We'll get out of the way. Kansas Jayhawks barely squeaked by Duke after a Hunter Dickinson ejection. The last 10 minutes of the game, Kansas played with Flory Badunga, who actually, I think before that had a poor game. And that last
He
10 minutes, he showed that he can play at a high level. He played really good in the final 10 minutes.
He played without fouling too, which was crazy.
that's what that was the biggest thing. Is his his game just started out sloppy. So that for him to really lock in for the most important 10 minutes of the game, honestly, as a freshman was big to see. He showed the skill he has that Bill Self knew he does when he brought him here in the first place.
We'll
Because
start it
if
off. Well,
oh
I'll let you go before we
no, I was just gonna say if he would have like fouled out or if they needed to put someone in, I don't know if Coach Self would have put in Zach Clements. I think they would have just went small ball, and that I don't know
I
how
would have
well.
went small ball.
Yeah,
I would have won small ball too.
I mean, I don't think playing Zach Clements against Duke would have been a very smart decision for KU basketball. No shame on Zach Clements. It's just when has he ever played in a game this big?
yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the ejection. Hunter Dickinson was being guarded by Malik Brown. Now this was a few possessions before. There's been a lot of altercations with Dickinson and Brown, and eventually it must have caught up to Hunter because he kicked him in the face. What were your guys' opinions about the ejection? Because I don't think it was worthy of an ejection. I thought maybe flagrant one at most. I thought this could have been even a non-ball foul. Like
Well, and that's the
that's what
the
they were saying
announcers
on
were saying
TV.
non-ball tech or a flagrant one, which I could have seen. Thing that sucks is he's had it coming for. I mean, all over Twitter, they're pulling up different clips from Hunter Dickinson at Michigan stepping on people. I don't know. It's just like, as a fan, I was honestly not happy with that call, but it's tough to see because he did kick him. I mean, he kicked him in the face, but it wasn't like very
Do,
hard.
do you guys think it was deliberate? I thought when they were playing it on the video, it looked
Lomo
really
made it look
slow.
worse.
But normal speed, I thought the kick seemed a little harder than it did in the slowed up version that they were showing us to see if it made contact with his face.
I don't think it should have been an ejection. I think it should have been a flagrant one. I mean, you look at, I mean, the first person that probably comes to all of our minds was like Grayson Allen. He looked like when he would trip people or kick people, like that was an ejection worthy. But like Emmett said, Hunter Dickinson has had plays where it looks a little dirty. So I feel like he's had it coming for him as well. And I like, honestly, if I was a Duke fan, I would have wanted him to be ejected.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, if I was Duke, I would say get him out of the game.
There's
But then
not. I'll let you
keep
go, Emmett. I keep on trying to
oh,
talk over you guys.
it's we're the guests. But then I keep saying, do you think the refs know they messed up because the next three possessions are the three tickiest, tackiest fouls ever for Duke? I mean, I think Floyd caught an inbound pass and like Brown like breathed on him, and they're like, yeah, foul.
See, the thing is I was downstairs screaming at the TV. I was just so confused why
Foul.
Duke kept fouling. Because maybe a few of those were a little ticky tacky, but you almost have to do that to keep control of the game after ejecting Hunter. And so, yeah, you're going to get some ticky tack fouls. But then a few of them, I think two of the three were legitimate fouls. And for some reason, Duke just kept on trying to swipe at the basketball and not play actual defense. So in that instance, Malik Brown, um, it was Malik Brown, Tyrese Proctor, I think, got one of them. But it was just a lot of your key players that game who were just not really in the moment, playing with a lot of energy, but they weren't really playing with a lot of mental awareness because there was a lot of
especially,
sloppy fouls.
no, yeah, there was a ton of fouls towards the end of that second half, but in the first half, the first like 12 minutes, Duke's defense was awful. I mean, Kansas was executing really well, but Duke's defense
Mm-hmm.
was so bad. They weren't fouling, they just weren't guarding.
Yeah. Kansas jumped out to a really early run, in the first half, and then they started the second
Was it
half with a
13-3?
similar run.
Was it 13-3 or what was the biggest lead?
Yeah.
Was it
It
or
was
did they lead
18 to
by
8 at
12?
one point. It was a 12-point lead. Actually, the largest lead was 13 by KU with 12 minutes left in the first half. I have that on my notes. Um,
Oh yeah.
I need to stop saying so much. I realize I do that quite a bit. But both teams shot the ball relatively well. Duke shot
They
50% from the
did.
field. Kansas
Well,
shot
besides
49%
Knipple,
from the field. Yeah, Con
if
Knipple
Knipple hits
didn't.
like two
But
threes,
Duke made up for it. As a team
yeah.
that
They
shot
did.
42% from the 3-point line, and their best 3-point shooter was 0 for 8. So they,
If
they played
Knipple
really
hits a couple of
good.
those threes, it's
That
dangerous.
yeah, that's a completely different game if Knipple's on like he usually is.
It was really sad to see like the two Duke focal points, Con Knipple and Cooper Flag, not have their A games. Both finished with over 10 points. Con had 11, Coop had 13. But Cooper Flag really had to work for every single bucket he had today. KJ Adams, nothing easy. We are on the
No.
podcast, what was that, 2 days ago?
Yep.
Talked about how KJ Adams might be in a blender, and it was vice versa. Cooper
I
Flag
said that
couldn't
he
do
should guard Cooper
anything.
Flag. I said that he should guard Cooper Flag. And
Yeah.
Well,
Newell
dude,
and Colton, how much what was your
Colton, I was
prediction?
with you. You're not the only one here.
no,
I
I'm just
told you I would
saying
die on that
if
hill. I'm living.
if Cooper Flag learned a different move than just to spin into traffic, he might be really good. Bro, every time he gets downhill, he just spins into traffic,
I
and
think
KU
I
figured it
think
out.
I think he just threw him off. I don't think he's seen physicality like that yet this season. I
No,
mean, Dickinson. Adams was picking him up at half court when he didn't even have the ball.
I
Yeah.
will say I was wrong. I thought Adams wasn't going to be able to guard him well, but he did.
This was also a KJ legacy game. Defensively, he was really good. 3 steals, 3 blocks. He had 8 points, and he was actually hitting his
45 from
mid-range
two.
jumpers.
Bro, yeah, his jumpers were crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I was
Every
like, what?
time KJ Adams shoots a mid-range jumper, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah,
If it
no,
misses, because genuinely speaking, if it misses, it's a bad shot.
Yeah.
And if it goes in, you're like, oh, sweet. Like, sure.
that's that when he had that first pull up, that was I was like, "Ooh," and he hit him like, yup, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you were feeling like he was feeling confident yesterday. And you could tell that just on defense, his defense was what's the word I'm trying to say? Was like carrying over to the offensive side. He was shooting
Momentum.
those jumpers. He was shooting those jumpers with rhythm, with confidence, and he was making them, which is nice to see. DeJuan Harris, sneaky game. 14 points, 9 assists. Hunter Dickinson before his ejection had 11 and 6. AJ Storr hit 2 threes. He was also in the
He
starting
started getting
lineup
a roll
today.
for a bit. It was
What do
a
you
AJ
guys
good
think about
Storr.
start.
AJ Storr making the start?
No,
I
I
like
was
that
really,
lineup.
yeah, I think that's the best lineup. Emmett texted us last night and said, I think we both agreed that that was the best lineup that KU could put on the floor. But it was just funny, like right when he like gets the ball the very first play, it's like a travel. But then he hit an and one like the next play. So like I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah, he missed the layup and then he traveled and I was like sitting there and like, okay, we can't really blame him for that. But then once he got into his rhythm, I think that should be the starting five for the rest of the year for KU.
I agree. I think we were
Especially
almost
especially with the start that they had against an elite team like that. I know their defense wasn't the best, but
mhm.
like Colton mentioned, they were just executing everything.
Yeah. I think that's the starting lineup we were expecting coming into the season, and we just needed to wait for AJ Storr to start feeling himself again. And I
Mhm.
think Bill Self showed that promise in him when he starts him against Duke. I mean, he's been coming off the bench the last 3 games, and you start him in the biggest game so far this year. And he played really well to his credit. 11 points, 2 for 2 from behind the arc, 2 assists. I feel like defensively, he was engaged and really focusing on that side of the ball as well. I feel like everybody on Kansas took like their defensive ability, like not abilities, but like what they had to do defensively, and they almost took it on their shoulder. Like, hey, this is if we're gonna win this game, it's gonna be on the defensive end of the ball, which is unlike some of these guys. Like Zeke Maya was a good defender at SDSU, but so far this year he's been an offensive threat. AJ Storr has been known to be an offensive guy through and through. So I feel like defensively, everybody on Kansas really lived up to the expectations.
Yeah, I feel like Coach Self also is like telling them like you're not gonna start unless you play defense.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's carrying over, but I mean, Zeke Mayo is someone we haven't really said anything about his game yet last night, but dude, his like I think he started the game 3 for 3, 2 for 2 from three, and like the pull up threes were just nasty, bro. So they were so good.
His pound dribble into a step back is money.
Yeah.
Every time he takes that shot, like I feel like 90% of the time it's gonna go in. Obviously, like does it? Probably not, but he's yeah, and like what you mentioned, Jack, everyone really stepped up, but that was a huge pickup in the offseason. Just seeing it even a game like that, like he's coming from SDSU, jumping to KU, and being like one of our best offensive th or one of KU's best offensive threats is impressive.
Yeah, he was definitely feeling normal. What am I trying to say? He's been feeling out of every single transfer
Him,
we've
that's
had,
what you could say.
out of every single transfer we've had this year, he's been the most comfortable out of the
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it still looks like he's comfortable. In that offense, he's getting easy shots. He's knocking them down, which is always a plus when you're in a new team if you can show that you're a shot maker. And he's doing that right now. Defensively, I think Zeke Mayo had a really good game. The two guys off the bench I want to kind of talk about are Flory, who we've already kind of mentioned a little bit. He had 6 points, 8 rebounds, really stepped up when Dickinson got ejected. And then Rylan Griffin, who might have had his worst first half in
I've
a
ever
Kansas
seen.
jersey out of all of the new transfers. That transition three he took with 20 seconds
14
left.
seconds.
What is he doing?
Hey, that was not the shot. Tyrese Proctor went down, hit a three that could have
Oh
potentially
my
been 1
goodness,
3.
Valentine.
That was an oh my goodness Valentine type of shot. Rylan Griffin stepped up 8 points. I think all eight were in the second half.
And
He
you
hit,
gotta give credit those two clutch free throws to send it up three to make it at least they
yep,
have to hit a three to send it to overtime.
yep. He balled. Quite literally, he balled in the
Yeah.
second.
Well, I'm sure
I mean,
Self sat him down in the locker room and was like, take that shot again. I mean, you can literally hold for the last possession.
it was like a 1-on-3 pull
That's
up
it was a 4-on-1. He pulls it from like 2 feet behind the 3-point line
with
and he
14
clanks
seconds.
it.
Yeah, that was not
He
close.
clanked it. He didn't even like it wasn't even close.
Bill Self would have been pulling his hair out during halftime. One thing I want to talk about is Cooper Flagg had 4 turnovers. He was careless with the basketball, and it was reminiscent of what we saw against Kentucky a few weeks ago. And kind of what I'm getting at is with 14 seconds left, Duke has a chance to win this game, and they draw up a play for Kolton Kennon to get into the lane and throw it up to the air.
Well,
Why,
dude,
why didn't Cooper Flagg have the ball? Did he lose the spot to
I
Shire?
think
I
so.
mean,
I saw this video. It was actually on ESPN. I think what they were trying to do was to get Knipple downhill, then kick it out to Cooper Flag. But someone cut and it like kind of like bundled it up. But nonetheless, Cooper Flag and Knipple, they get so like jump happy. They're just so athletic and they're used to being able to like jump in the air and find someone. But when it comes to college, I feel like you need to like jump stop or something because they're not. I mean, they're still very athletic, probably two most athletic kids on the court, but I mean, like the level of competition's so good that they can't do the same move or just leave their feet in the air and find someone all the time.
Yeah. The possession before, like you mentioned, spinned right into the defense, gets it poked out for his fourth turnover. And then he just didn't get the ball on this last possession. If I was Shire,
Well,
I would have done that vice versa. I would have had Cooper Flagg try to get downhill. And if you can kick out to Khan, I mean, he's the shot maker. He wasn't today. He went 0 for 8.
well, yeah, over 8. That's why I feel like they tried to go for him because he was besides Proctor, he was the only one getting going. Because yeah, Cooper had 13 or whatever, but it was kind of an ugly 13. I mean,
It was an ugly 13.
two at half, and
the
yeah,
dunk was a really good part.
he has those two turnovers late. You'd think to probably give to someone else. Probably getting flashbacks to Kentucky when they had two possessions to win it. They gave it to Flag, and it didn't go well for him.
It's unfortunate for a player as good as Cooper Flagg is he is now getting a lot of criticism for not being a late game player. Is it? I think it's worthy. I think the criticism's
Yeah.
worthy right now.
Well, I think he should expect it too because if you're gonna be a freshman who, despite this game, is really, really good at basketball, and will probably still be the number one pick. With all that hype, you're going to start to receive criticism if you don't play up to those people's level, I guess.
Cooper
So,
Flag didn't even necessarily have a terrible game.
no, not at
He
all.
finished with he
That's
finished
probably
with
what makes him
13, but
good.
it's those turnovers at the end that are pulling or that are turning all of the heads.
I feel like he tries to be the superhero too much. Like, dude, just kick it out. You don't have to like drive into
Yeah.
traffic. Like you're that good, you can be aggressive, but
It's
dude,
easy for us to say.
yeah, like
A
obviously,
bunch of
obviously,
20-year-olds sitting
Yeah,
at our
yeah.
house, not
nah,
playing Division One basketball. But overall, the game was very even throughout most of it. 16 turnovers for both teams. Both teams shot relatively the same percentages from the field. Kansas had 6 more rebounds than Duke did. The real, I feel, turning point was almost when Dickinson got ejected and Duke decided we're gonna go foul Kansas 3 times. Not very smart play.
I
no,
don't know what that was. I
I don't.
honestly thought, and like you said, I can't remember like how the three went down, except for I know Tyrese Proctor, and I can't remember who fouled Flory,
Malik,
but
I saw the last foul was a Malik Brown reach
yeah, on Flory
where he
on the
did
inbound, right?
clearly get Flory's arm.
Which, so yeah, they're fouls, but just the fact that they all happened that quickly, that was like a little rough patch for Duke for sure.
They weren't mentally there. They were so energized hearing that Dickinson got ejected that they weren't in the right headspace, I feel like, to play actual team defense. And those were 3 silly fouls that instantly put Kansas in the bonus.
I think, yeah, bonus with 9 minutes left is crazy too. It's
Yeah,
like 9 whole
That's
minutes.
big.
that's
That
huge.
was a big
That was
takeaway.
huge for Kansas. KJ Adams was the MVP today, I think. At least in my opinion, defensively, his defensive impact was just too great
Yes.
not to
I
have him
mean,
be my Kansas
he
MVP
had
today.
the biggest matchup of the night,
Yeah.
and he held it. He played really good.
The last thing I want to talk about before we end this is what did we learn from KU today? Or I guess yesterday in that last game against Duke.
I think they need Hunter Dickinson to win, but you can win a lot of games without him on the court if needed. Like obviously you want him on the court.
They can adjust well.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
play well in
That's what I'm trying to
adversity.
say. They
That's
don't need him to win, but
This
it would help.
call me crazy, hot take, you want to say whatever, but I think it just goes to show with the depth that we have or that KU has. I keep saying we being KU fan. Um, is very important because last year's team, this would not be the same situation.
We
Colton,
would have lost.
We would have they would
text
have
in
probably
the
lost
group
by like
chat?
20.
Which one?
What?
Did you see the text in the KJ Sports group chat that was like, could you imagine if this happened last year and we had to put in and we had to put in
Oh,
Parker Brown?
we would have got
Dude,
40 balled. I'm not kidding.
dude,
Yeah,
it would
that
have
would
been
have
a
been bad.
field day for Duke.
I will say, Emmett and I were saying some of the texts in that group chat were pretty funny. What Ashton said about Hunter Dickinson.
I didn't see it. What did he say?
He said I'd ask him to put the fries in the bag, but he probably wouldn't even make it. I was
That's
like,
crazy. That's insane. I feel like we learned that this KU team's really resilient. They're really resilient and they're really old. We got a lot of guys who have played a lot of college basketball.
Dude,
They were able to
Flagg was
fight
7 years
back.
older.
What?
Harris and Dickinson were 7 years older than Flagg. Like that's insane.
dude, that is
Yeah.
wild.
Hunter Dickinson just celebrated his 24th birthday.
Probably
Like, I love that he's on our team, but
He probably went to the Hawk.
at some point, this needs to stop. I'm glad the COVID years are gone. This is the last year of COVID years. This is ridiculous.
I
Wait,
saw a comment the other day or yesterday after some guy posting about should like Dickinson get the flagrant, and they were like some random guys threw like a random comment was like he's still here. Is he going for his doctorate or what? Like he's been here
I hope
forever.
he has a doctorate by the time he
You
leaves.
would
better have
hope
like 4
so.
degrees.
He better have 4 degrees. He's been in college for a minute. Overall, I felt like Kansas dominated this game low key. Not even
I
low
never
key.
thought Kansas was gonna lose.
I think Kansas had control of this game until around the 10-minute mark when Dickinson got ejected, I was feeling Kansas was going to breeze to a win. And then I kind of thought that Duke was going to win until until Cooper Flag turned it over off a spin move again. And then I felt pretty confident KU was going to get it done.
Well, and even with Knipple being off, going over it, that last look had me on the edge of my seat. That wasn't even bad.
It
That
No,
was
rimmed
a
out.
really
that was
good
a good
look to
look.
send to overtime.
That was a good look for Con. The announcer said, I almost did it again. I almost just said again. The announcer made a comment that said, as a coach, the only thing you can do is put your players in a position to win or tie a game. And Duke got a really good look from a really good, capable shooter. It just didn't go in.
Any other
That
night, that's
happens.
probably going. Most nights, that's going to overtime.
You don't
It just
Kansas.
wasn't his day.
All we're all Kansas fans, so I'll speak for all of us. We were all shaking.
Yeah.
Like when he
I
got
think
open,
I was texting our group chat. I'm like, dude, are we serious? I think I was like spamming our group chat.
when he got open, my first thought was this is going to OT because he's that capable of shooting.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. I thought that game was wraps. And if it went to OT, anything could happen in OT.
I was telling one of my buddies who's goes to school in Wisconsin. He's obviously not a fan of either team. I was like, he's like, come on, overtime would have been cool. I'm like, yeah, it would have been cool, but honestly, I don't know how
For
much
people
longer
who didn't
Kansas can
care,
hold on. Yeah, for people who
exactly.
didn't care, that's cool. I don't know. I'm like, it's already impressive enough that Flory, who had an okay start, has been playing this well in his final 10 minutes. Who knows what is going to happen in overtime? You get a
Yeah, what if he
reset.
turned the ball over 3 times in a row?
You get a reset for a couple of minutes. All of a sudden, Colin Knipple hits his first three, and then he hits another one, and boom, Duke
Yeah.
takes the win.
Well, that's all I have for Kansas. We are now 2 full days into feast week. We got some games starting at 11 o'clock here. I want your guys' takeaways. What are some things that we've noticed throughout feast week? I know the Creighton Blue Jays, my team, struggled through an injury. They're not looking too good. We don't
Let's
have to
talk
talk about
UConn.
that. Yeah, UConn's been
UConn's,
bad. The Big
I,
East
I,
has been really bad so
I
far.
saw a stat, and I couldn't remember if it was like teams ranked number two or just like top five, like national ranked teams. But the last team to lose two back-to-back games to unranked teams was 1983. And
And
the back-to-back champs who thought they could still be good. I think like they should have been ranked high this year, have
Mhm.
fallen.
Well, Dan Hurley is like, dude, he like scares me.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Have you seen him the
Bro,
way he like,
he
okay,
costed him the Memphis game.
Well, I
have you
know
seen the
his
way,
antics. His antics are costing UConn games.
have you seen the way he talks to his coaches? Like
He's
they're pulling
He's
him
crazy.
literally
back.
pulled his coach
He's like
back.
shoving him off. Yeah, he's like grabbing the guy's like shirt. And
It's,
then
it's insane
what was I
work.
gonna say? I forgot. Oh my God, have you seen his practices? I mean, I'm sure like I
Yeah.
have heard that Bill Selfs are really intense, but I don't think to that extent.
He's just
I-
mean.
He
If
does a
you
lot of
haven't, go
things.
watch a video because half the things he says we
I'll send
probably
it to our group
can't say
chat. I
on
have one loaded up.
we
Sadly, I
can't
feel
we
like
can't
I
say
would
on
coach
here.
basketball the exact same way Dan Hurley would.
You would?
Yeah. Emmett, you've
I,
never watched a Creighton game with me.
yeah, I don't
You
know if I
haven't.
want.
You haven't gotten the privilege to do that yet. Neither of you, Colton. I'm a little crazy.
Okay, that's actually I'll give you that because last night I was going crazy. Me and Colton were going crazy, texting each other back and forth.
Like, I'm
Your Creighton game
sorry.
is my KU game.
Creighton basketball, I think, had like 16 or 17 turnovers against Nebraska. I'm sorry. My team would not have been going home after that game. Their asses are going on the line. They're running. That's embarrassing. In a rivalry game, you're turning the ball over that much? Hell no. Get your
To
ass on the
your
line and shoot
to
free
your little
throws.
bro too.
I know. Technically to our little bro. We still own that rivalry. I guess not recently. Recently they've kicked our butts, but I don't know. We learned a lot about UConn. The last thing I'll say about UConn is I think their schedule early in the season didn't help them. They're beating up on by teams by
Yeah.
35 every game. Easy win, easy win, easy win. No competition. No early season tests. Does that make sense? Like Kansas had
Yeah.
a test their second game to play North Carolina.
Well, in Memphis,
And Memphis and Colorado, even though I don't think Colorado is going to be very good, Memphis and
well,
Colorado are still miles better than
I
any
think
team that they
Memphis.
previously faced.
Well, and I could be wrong, but like going off of what you said about UConn schedule making their schedule weak,
Memphis
I'm
has
pretty
been
sure
hard.
I think Memphis's preseason was Duke and UNC, I'm pretty sure.
And I know they had, and I know that they played like Fresno State and like teams of that caliber, UNLV, to start the year. So Memphis has actually had competitive games with tough competition, and UConn just didn't. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's what made Memphis prevail that game is that they've been in games that are gritty, that are hard to win. Whether people want to complain about the Dan Hurley over the back or the Liam McNeely over the back and Dan Hurley's antics, Memphis just showed that they were the better team. When that game went to overtime, nobody thought Memphis was going to win that game.
I
Yeah, I thought that was
definitely
UConn's shot to finally get their win because
Yeah. And against Colorado, what the hell?
I don't even know what.
Colorado was down 10 as well in the second half, like 10 minutes left. Like, bro,
I don't think Colorado's good.
nah. They
No, that
lost
one shocked me.
four. They
That
lost.
one shocks me.
They lost four players who averaged more than 10. There were 10 plus points.
They lost 5 starters.
Yeah.
I think what Tad Boyle was able to do at Colorado to win that game was extremely impressive. What I will say is, do you guys think that was more of a game of, hey, we have to play another game in a day kind of effort
Uh,
from UConn? Or if that was just they got outplayed?
I think they just got outplayed.
I think they've just been getting shots.
So what are the stocks for a UConn national championship after these 2 games? I know they played Dayton today.
They're not winning the national championship.
I don't think either of you guys had them in your Final Fours.
No.
But
They're
would
not
you
even the
guys
best.
if you did have UConn stock, would you sell all of it?
Yeah, they're not even the best team in the Big East.
Yeah.
No. That's Creighton.
St. John, but
That might be St. John. That's Marquette right now, let's be honest. But college basketball, it's around the corner. Big games, conference play, it's all coming up very shortly. Kansas takes on Furman on Saturday. This can be the quickest preview of KU Furman ever. How do you guys think they do on Saturday?
I haven't watched too much Furman, but I think it's in.
If you said you've watched too much or you've watched Furman, I would have said Cap. I would have
No,
called
no,
him
I
bluff.
haven't seen
Yeah, I
Furman.
was like, you're not
Is
going to
it,
pull out the stats for that.
is
Like,
it in Allen Fieldhouse?
it's at Allen Fieldhouse.
Is it? No, it's not. It's in Vegas.
I swear they go back.
I'll put money on it. That's in Vegas because
I'm
the
looking
tournament
at it
is
right now.
Duke. The tournament's Duke, Kansas, Furman, and Seattle.
Either
Oh,
way,
I went
Kansas
back.
by
Oh, yeah,
15.
it's that showdown.
Either way, Kansas by 15.
I mean, do we put money on that right now? Do you owe me something?
No, I would never check on it, or we never. No one threw prices. No one threw prices.
I think Kansas wins this game pretty easily.
I don't think it should be coming off of.
However, I don't
A
want this to
big
be a
game.
hangover game. I really
It's
don't.
I don't want them to get shocked where they walk out thinking
It's
they
not an
just-
Allen Fieldhouse.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
well-
I just searched it.
No, it's not. It's in Vegas.
I just searched
ESPN
it.
doesn't lie.
I just searched it.
No, but
You're lying to me.
yeah. Well, I told you that because I lost that bet that we didn't place any money on. But yeah,
It's in Allen Fieldhouse. I'm not kidding.
you're lying. Okay, let me explain to Jack how I feel about this game. Anyways, Jack, I completely agree with you. I really hope that they do not come in, and I don't think they will. They're a veteran team. I don't think they will come in saying we just beat Duke without essentially Hunter Dickinson because that was the most important 10 minutes and just come out lazy.
Oh my gosh, it is
I
an Allen
think they're
Fieldhouse.
gonna get-
Why is the Vegas showdown in Allen Fieldhouse?
So I was right. Yeah, give me my money.
You were right. I was wrong.
Because I saw somewhere
just assumed they're saying in
Yeah,
Vegas.
no, because I looked at ESPN and it said Vegas Showdown, so I was thrown off. But I redeemed my ticket for the Furman game.
That makes
I could-
sense because I also redeemed my ticket for the Furman.
Mine too.
Oh my
Alright.
gosh, that was the biggest blunder.
Okay,
So you guys are right. I'm wrong. I'll do the walk of shame. Hey, we didn't put a price on it, Emmett.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I think we win that game pretty easily. I just hope it's not a hangover from the Duke game. I'd like to see him. I'd like to
They get
see.
some rest.
I want to see them take care of business.
Keep the foot on the gas.
Yeah, for sure.
No need to be nice.
Furman's still a competitive team. I think they've made the tournament a few times in the past few years.
Yeah,
So
shock Virginia. They're a good team. They do not need to. They could easily be shocked by being overconfident.
especially with a KU team that I feel like so far this year has shown weaknesses, like Hunter Dickinson's pick and roll. Also, is he allowed to play against Furman?
Yeah.
I've heard some mixed things. Like when
I
I
think
Googled it, because I was really confused when he didn't leave the bench at first.
well, he was supposed
Google,
to.
well, yeah, so I Googled it, and here's what it said. You guys keep talking while I do this. Or are
I
you guys not talking?
I think he can play. I don't know though.
I think
I
he
thought
could
it was
play
just
too.
in like
Well, because
football.
actually I've heard mixed things too. I've heard you're allowed to play, but then I heard sometimes if you get ejected like that, you could miss a game, or maybe he might miss the first half.
I thought it was just in college football where if you get ejected in the second half, then you have to sit the first half. But it could be basketball as well.
I feel
Here's
like at
what Google says. Google says ejected players must leave the bench within 2 minutes or the game is forfeited.
oh, I saw that's right.
Does
'Cause I saw
somebody
Duke
know
fans
how long he was on the bench? Because that would have been
longer than
hilarious if
that. Because I
Kansas had
saw
to
three
forfeit
comments
that
by Duke
game.
fans saying that Duke should have won because Dickinson didn't leave after 2 minutes.
That would have been hilarious if like they called that and they were like Kansas forfeit. Like this is illegal. You can't do this according to the rules. They
I'd
would
probably be
never do
shopping for a
that.
new
They would
TV
never do
though.
that.
I would probably be shopping for a new TV because the remote would have been in the middle of the TV
Oh
screen.
no, they took away Kansas versus Duke's Elite Eight win in 2018. That's still a thing, just saying.
What?
Not.
Well, like I know.
I got what you're saying, Colton.
I
What did Google say?
I'm doing a few more Googling things.
What I meant was since like KU had the violation for recruiting, it's technically didn't happen that they beat Duke in the Elite Eight in 2018. So KU's not allowed to post about it.
Hold on. Reddit is saying you can play.
The most reliable source on the internet.
I know. Reddit's
See,
never let me down before.
um,
I
I
saw
would
something that
try.
said you can't. Also, can this might be a game where Kansas punishes him. Like a Hunter Dickinson isn't playing because he's getting punished by the university. However, I don't think we're gonna do that.
Let's just find him because he already makes enough with NIL.
Do you think he's gonna get in trouble at all? I could
No.
see them. I could see them just being like, whatever. Like your
No, because
punishment is you
you
didn't
see
get to play the last 10 minutes.
How fired up Bill Self was. He was pissed they ejected him.
Well, it's
There's even
because I
like
don't think anybody thought he was gonna get ejected.
I didn't.
I thought that was gonna be a flagrant one at most.
Sam. Well, I thought it too, and then I was like, okay, let's see what the announcers think. And like, yeah, it'll be like a non-contact technical. Like, okay, cool. He's still.
And so you're like, sweet, they're gonna shoot
And then
some
they're like, see
or
you, brother.
whatever.
And they
When I heard flagrant two, my eyes were like, because I genuinely thought we were
stood
gonna
up, and I
lose.
was like,
Yeah, I genuinely thought we were gonna lose after that. Overall, this game is easily game of the year. I guess we've had two game of the years. North Carolina was insane too. That was a home game.
Duke and
I don't know. What do you guys think was the
UNC.
better game right now? Duke or North Carolina?
Duke.
Duke wipes.
You think
Because
Duke wipes.
because if KU came into the second half with the way they played that first half, they would have kept that 15-point lead, in my opinion.
And easily won. Yeah.
Mayo went cold. They had to try to find ways to score because shots weren't falling. They had to win on the defensive end. And then get Dickinson to get layups and have some floaters go in. But I think if they played the way they did that first half, they would have beat UNC by double digits.
I still feel like Duke's like this loss doesn't hurt Duke at all. Duke's
No, well,
still a very
and the
good
announcer
team.
said that. They said a loss wouldn't hurt any team.
So it was just a great game during Feast Week. Easily the best game I've gotten to watch this year so far during this year for Feast Week. Last thing I'll touch on. Did anyone get to watch Rutgers Notre Dame late last night? I
I
went
saw
to
Rutgers won, but I did not watch it.
Yeah.
Dylan Harper had like
I just saw
36.
that Dylan Harper is that guy.
Yeah, Dylan Harper's that guy. Kansas Jayhawks get a 75-72 win over the Duke Blue Devils. And that is all that we have for you guys. More Feast Week recaps and previews will be coming out on the channel as the games kind of get done. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate you guys taking your time to talk to me.
For sure.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
having me.
Of course, of course. See you guys later.